everyone, welcome back to the stream. I hope you guys are doing well and having a wonderful Thursday so far. Welcome in, J Train. Congratulations on redeeming first, and welcome in, dear. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, first things first, because we tried to talk about this Tuesday and my commands did not work. I fixed my commands for. Welcome in, Picky Pick. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I fixed my commands for the Curious Village prize fundraiser that we're doing with Britain's community. I grossly misunderstood how to do like a multi-trigger command, so I did that completely wrong, but we fixed it this time. Let me prove it to you guys. We fixed it this time, so that's great. Hello, Mel, how are things? Things are going very well. I've had a pretty good day. It's okay, so it's kind of funny you ask that. My mom and sister were coming to visit today. They literally got here during the starting soon screen. Like, I was looking at the clock and I was like, wow, they might show up after I start streaming. And it was literally as soon as I hit live, they pulled up and I was like, oh, work, okay. Yeah, so I guess a recap from Tuesday. You guys know Brennan, Doc Brennan, wonderful member of our community. We love Brennan. They put together a fundraiser for Trans Lifeline, which is like a hotline for trans people in need. And it's going on all throughout June. I feel like I should just say that. Yeah, that's that. Today we are starting a new game. We're starting a new game called Our Life. And I've seen so many TikToks about this game, so I think it's going to be pretty good. And my friend Kay actually just played it, and I was so excited about it after she played it because she said it was very good. And I feel like Kay and I have very similar tastes in games, so I don't know a whole lot about what it is, but I do know that we basically play throughout different stages of our character's life, and I think that's going to be very fun. So, without further ado, let's actually start playing the game. Oh, I think I want the music slightly louder though. I think there looks good. You guys let me know if it's too quiet. Nico, welcome in. I hope you're doing well. Okay, I think that's good. We'll start a new file. I feel like that's the button we should press on. Welcome to Our Life Beginning and Always. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how certain features work. Oh, great, okay. You can read the full tutorial from the main menu to learn about everything in detail. I'm just gonna have to figure it out as we go. Doing good? I'm so glad to hear that. I am doing pretty well myself. My headphones feel slightly loud, but that might just be me. I'm doing pretty well myself, thank you for asking. I'm very excited about this game because I've seen so much about it. It's okay. I think to say I've seen so much about it is not accurate. I've seen a lot of people reacting to their experience playing the game, but not that much about the game itself. So, to start off, the game is divided into 4 time periods called steps. We've got childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, and adulthood. Our life is further divided into sets of vignettes and take place during specific periods of time. Kai!
I'm driving and listening.
Drive safely, bestie! Thank you so much for the sub, that is so kind of you. I hope you drive safe. Alright, moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Steps 1 through 3 include 5 moments. Each and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. Some are out now and other DLCs released later on. Sick. I have not purchased any DLCs yet. I wanted to see if we liked the game before I spent money. Alright, step 4 is an epilogue and doesn't include moments. Oh, work. A lot happens over the years that go by, especially in regard to the character you play as. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered once set. I guess that makes sense. Much of the main character's basic traits are determined on a character creation screen. As the main character grows up, more options become available on the screen. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Okay, this is just... right. Only the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting free voiced name expansion DLC. They voice acted the player character? That's cool. All right. I think a lot of this I can figure out. Interest and comfort screen. Unless you get DLCs, the game has one love interest, Cove Holden. He grows up with the MC, and the interest/comfort screen is crucial for determining how that plays out. So we cannot fuck that up. Interest level sets how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterest, fond, crush, and love. Love is only available starting in step 3, and if you are at fond or crush in step 2. Comfort determines how you generally react/think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Your level of interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. What you did in the past will influence the present, and feelings can change over time. That's actually really cool. Okay, you get to pick your interest/comfort near the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can only stay the same or increase. Current level of interest will become the new lowest option on the screen in the future. For example, if you decide to be fond in step 1, disinterest will not be available on the screen in steps 2 and 3, which will make fond the bottom level option for your relationship. Right, okay. Interest level has an impact when it comes to physically interacting with Cove. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and have a close relationship, you can touch him, and Cove will occasionally interact with the main character in lighthearted or comforting ways. Starting step 3, touching can become more romantic or suggestive if you're at crush or love. Oh, sick. Okay. I think a lot of this is gonna be pretty self-explanatory. Alright. When a choice does appear, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over an option shows a certain color: yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only there to give a bit of insight on the tone/emotion of the choice, since text alone could potentially be read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual/straightforward, yellow is more emotive or reactive, and green is less certain/uncommitted. Okay. Though there are hundreds of options in our life, and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern. Picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise switch between them freely. So it's not like Dragon Age 2. Okay. I think we got it. Oh, we have different face shapes? That's cute. I think we're gonna try to make ourselves. What are all the options though? Okay, that's a good range. I think that one might be me though. I think beige was probably the oh wait, what if I can have blue hair? Blue hair and pronouns. I would have blue hair. I think the blue hair would be kind of fire. I also really like the gradient on the hair. I think that's nice. I guess we'll go for a gray hair. Okay. That kind of looks like Vi. I could make Vi from Arcane. I think Wavy 2 might be the one. Oh, two-tone is kind of fun. I wish I could see how many there were. There are so many different options. This is so fun. Okay. What did we say? Wavy 2? I think we did. I don't know, it makes our forehead look very large. Vice VA was in the only good Transformers movie. Really? Which one was that? I don't know the VA's name. I'm so sorry, I'm very indecisive with, character design. That's kind of a vibe, though. I do like that. Okay, I think I did like the first eye option. I don't want a voice name. How do I change my name?
Jamie.
I would like it to be set to none, please. Bumblebee, Haley Steinfeld, great actor, held her own as a teenager alongside Jeff Bridges and Matt Damon in True Grit. Oh, sick! I don't think I've seen that one, but that is very cool for her. I was never super into the Transformers. I think I'd only seen, like, a couple of the movies that were coming out in the 2010s. Why can't I swap to... Okay. Oh. I'm dumb. Okay. I thought it was gonna look a certain way. Our last name will be Leaves. I think that's a good choice. Okay. What kind of birthmarks can we get? That one doesn't show anything, but okay. Oh, those are cute. Okay. Hand size? I guess we'll go medium. Okay. Am I supposed to be seeing... seeing my character? Okay. I think that's good. I say we're done. Blue, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Bumblebee was a nice girl in her robot movie. I love that. Guess we got the Nintendo Switch too? Oh, sick! I am so excited for you. I currently have no plans to get the Switch 2, but rest assured, as soon as I announce an Animal Crossing on that, I will be making plans. Okay. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. You got even 2, probably gonna sell one. Why did you get 2 if you didn't intend on keeping both of them? What was the reason? I don't think they're doing any more Smash Bros. Games, so I probably won't be getting a Switch 2. That is so fair. I remember when the PlayStation 5 came out, my brother got one, and I was like, I don't know, getting one would be fun, but I barely use the PlayStation 4 as it is. Like, I had no reason to get one, and I think that's when I was like, yeah, I don't have to get the new consoles just because they come out. Like, I didn't even want a Switch until Animal Crossing New Horizons came out. And that was, I don't know when the Switch initially came out, but that was very well into the console's, like, timeline. Played the new Mario Kart World on it, and it's fun. I'm glad. I've seen a little bit about the new Mario Kart World. Some of the streamers and YouTubers that I like played it today. It looks very cool. Wanted to make sure I get one. Like, didn't want it. Make sure that I get one. Didn't want it that it gets delayed. Okay. Were they, like, putting priority on people who ordered more than one? You streamed it earlier, too? Oh, sick! That's very fun. Okay. I use the PS4 mostly for streaming, and now that I have a smart TV, I don't use it so much. I used to play Overwatch on my PlayStation 4 and Fortnite all of the time, but I didn't have a gaming PC until 2021. I almost exclusively played games on, like, my DS and my PlayStation 4. But after I got a computer, I still have games on my PlayStation 4 that I don't have on other platforms. But I have not played them in a long time, and it is, at this point, my DVD player. That's all it is. Second one is still unpacked. Oh, so you're gonna, like, sell it out of the box, or, like, still in the box, like, new? Oh, you bought them from a different store. I see. Okay, so you didn't trust the first store. I guess that's fair. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved, or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. Didn't really get why they always had to say hi. They saw you every day, but you nodded back at them anyway. You ended up saying hi to a lot of different people since most of the tourists that came and went every summer were the same ones. You were too anxious to say hi back to most of the other residents that greeted you, but they all knew you well enough to expect that. I think we're feeling the middle one. It's a Blu-ray player too? Yes, exactly. I've not had a working DVD player that wasn't a console in a long time. One is from the German retailer and the other one is from Nintendo directly. Okay. No, that's fair. I've often found with a lot of things, if you're able to buy it directly, that usually works out better. I don't know if that's true for consoles. I know for figurines, like if you're a figure collector, if you can order directly, that's usually better because the third-party sellers take a lot longer to ship out. I got a Steam Deck for playing games in bed / out and about, but honestly, I've barely used it past the first month I had it. I think if I were to buy any more consoles, they'd have to be vintage ones so I could play old games, to be honest. That is so fair. I've thought about getting a Steam Deck, like, very passively. It's not something that I'm like, wow, I would really like to have one, but, like, I've thought about it. But I barely touch my Switch as it is now. I go through phases of being obsessed with Animal Crossing again, and, like, that's the only thing I do with it. Has anybody really at this point? That is so fair. That is so fair. I haven't even, like, tried to purchase a DVD player, because my PlayStation 4 does just fine. And everyone I know also has consoles that do the same thing. Alright, we're gonna be the kind of kid that says hi to people. Since you play Stardew Valley, often you could play it on a Steam Deck while comfortably being in bed, for example. See, I could do that on my Switch as well, though. That's the thing. I have Stardew Valley on my Switch first, and I would have to see how it felt on a Steam Deck. But I thought it would be nice to have a Steam Deck for Baldur's Gate. Or, like, maybe some of my other games that I can't put on my laptop. So, I don't know. It would be nice. Also, Steam Deck is like a PC. It has Linux, which means you can also emulate games on it. Oh, that's sick. I didn't know that. That is very cool. You enjoyed learning all about where they were visiting from and hoped to visit those places one day too. But today, there was a man sitting on the curb outside of your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person, or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Why is he in front of my house? Whoever, or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your mom calls it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom's had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. Oh, okay, not the stranger danger talk. When I first got my Steam Deck, I did make several jokes about the fact that I could play Baldur's Gate 3, and I kept quoting the Sonic Real-Time fan dub line of, "Finally, I can carry my boyfriend with me wherever I want." Did it feel clunky to play it on a Steam Deck compared to playing on PC? Because I know for Stardew Valley, now that I've played it on a computer, it feels very clunky to go back to the console controls. Minecraft is also the same way for me. And I think if the Steam Deck didn't have that clunkiness in the controls, then I would be a lot more convinced to maybe get one in the future. You mentioned that some people aren't good to talk to, but other types of people can help you even if you don't know them. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite. You hadn't exactly been listening at the time. You think it could be okay to talk to new people. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, Blue. Happy Pride. We love to see it. Haven't even tried because of all my saves have a metric fuck ton of mods, including non-native ones. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That would be a headache. You weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your front door. You're pretty interested. You wanted to know more about what was going on. Whether he was nice or not, you didn't want to be bothered. No, why is he in front of our house? That's what we're going with. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. There was a split second where your eyes met and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Hey! His voice startled you and made you jump, but you still didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gate post, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Not when he seemed too approachable, you folded your arms and stared. Still unsure about him, but willing to be friendly, you offered the stranger a smile. Your whole body was frozen in place as he approached. Yeah. Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tan skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. I'm not gonna tell him exactly where I live, but yeah, I live here. That's great. He looked happy to hear it, giving you a broad smile. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Well, could you do me a favor? What is going on? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have... Let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. I have a son. His name is Cove, who is about your age. This guy was definitely obsessed with water. He's gonna ask you about sharks. See what we know about sharks. A freak! Kay does not like this man. Seems like a strange name for an actual living person to you. No, this guy's definitely obsessed with water. He wasn't the only person like that in Sunset Bird. We moved in across the street, see? Why was he outside of my house, though? He gestured toward the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Mel Leaves, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8, just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips at the corners. Can you try to be friends with... Is he gonna pay me to be friends with his son? Just give it a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid, you'll like him.
Do you mind?
But you've got to keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. Did other kids really get their parents to pay for friendships? Had your moms done that for you and Lizzie? The thought made you frown. What do you say? Want to make a deal? What a weird move to bribe the local kids to be friends with your kid. That's such a crazy thing to do. We'll do it though, because $20 to an 8-year-old is a lot. You carefully plucked the bill from his outstretched hand, grinning at the thoughts of what you could do with that much cash. Not us going to the library. You weren't even sure yet. Yeah, that feels correct. The sky was the limit with that kind of amount. The man smiled at you, his eyes crinkling at the sides as he did. Great, that's great. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. If you see him, could you tell him to come on home? How would I know if we've seen him? It's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss it. Okay. Alright, sure thing. No taking with strange people, no taking money from strange people, no keeping secrets from weird people. No, that's true. That's true. But we are playing as an 8-year-old right now. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends. You knew that, but you were still going to help. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead. Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Keep that chat for the moms. No, truly. Truly. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. Thought he might come back and that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Mel, so much. Right. Our moms introduced us. I was about to say, I did not tell this man my name. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Oh, we walked all day. Zenith, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Also, Picky, thank you for the posture check. We gotta sit up and the stretch. We gotta get ready to meet Cove. And the hydrate. We love the self-care trifecta. Okay. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill, you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. Love to hear stories about the sea, about the merfolk and sea serpents you imagined living far beneath the waves. You've always loved the ocean. It was so much fun. No, the merfolk and the sea serpents? That's the one for us. Sometimes you could almost convince yourself you had seen the flash of a shiny mermaid's tail in the distance. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have... Deers definitely don't have pink casts or green hair. But this new boy did. You wondered how he got it. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. My beloved! Do you... Is Cove like a really... Is Cove someone we're gonna be obsessed with? Or Cove? I don't know why I was saying it is Cove. Anyway. Anyway, we're definitely going to, like, go the dating Cove path, because, like, why else would you play the game? Truly. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. Not the space cadet. Hit him with the high. Doing well. I hope you're doing well too. I am. Thank you for the kind sentiment. I'm doing very well. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. Oh, okay. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. Oh, that's embarrassing. Dad loved the sea so much I can see where the name came from. Sea green hair. No, truly, this kid was born to live by the ocean. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. Cove? Oh. Eyes wide, he studied you. How'd you know that? You touched the money in your pocket, feeling it crinkle beneath your fingertips. I'm all-knowing. Sure. That's a lie. Tell the truth. Okay, your dad told me who you were.
Oh.
Damn. So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. You can't own a hill. Why not? How could you? You just do. I had a hill back home. Well, this still isn't mine. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers, too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Almost like they'd never stopped. His tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore. Oh. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom and my dad leave and he took me with him, and now we have a house here and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. Oh, he's so sad. Damn. He wants his mom. Gotta hit him with the I'm sorry, cause like what else are we supposed to say to that? He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. You felt bad for him, being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Mel!
Cove?
Oh, they found him. He's no longer a missing child. Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. Gotta hit him with it. It'll be okay, because all of these are, like, not great. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not gonna all be fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not bandaged arm.
Sorry.
I still don't want to go. I feel like the waiting silently probably is best. Yeah, I get it. You do? Before you could answer, you heard Cove's dad even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. They're so cute! Okay. Mel, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. We're just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. I think I'm gonna marry him is crazy. He's chill. You nodded, smiling slightly. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief.
Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Mel knows the whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for us all. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
I love how they're saying that as if we're not going to be taking the same route back. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? Sounds like words is crazy. Sure, can I show him my stuff? Gotta show him that collection. Then okay. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Cute! Choose your... Okay. Are we fond of him already? We literally just met this child. Moment when you say goodbye to someone and you end up awkwardly walking in the same direction. I think that's why our mom stood back for a bit, because that would have just been too much. Cove seems chill. I guess we'll say we're fond. Why the hell not? Okay. Begin step 1 at relaxed fondness. You won't be able to change it again until step 2. Yeah. No, we're chill. At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excited to see your new friend again, Mel? Yeah, I am.
How sweet.
I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Your bowl is entirely empty. Hit him with the yeah. With all the exasperation an 8-year-old can muster, you looked at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom.
Okay.
Not the attitude, kid. Good job, you should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then on cue there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Mel, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Hey, Leaves family, thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him, and... Okay, so one mom is Mom and the other one is Mommy. Why do they have different names? I guess it would make sense. You could differentiate who you're talking to. You and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. I think a crystal bead bracelet is chill. Let's go play in my room.
Okay. Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
Alright, see you later, son. Play nice. Which one is mommy? Which one is mommy? I actually have no clue. Because I had not been paying attention to the title cards of who was talking. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out eventually. So you don't call out mom and then after one answers have to be like, not you, the other one. I guess that's fair. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, and a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I think the one with the long hair was mom and the shorter hair was mommy, but I'm not sure. Okay. We'll have to pay attention next time they're on screen. I like this. Not him enjoying our artwork. I drew that. Cool. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You hoped he liked your room. You had put a lot of effort into making your room as nice as it was. You hoped he didn't say anything bad about it. The jester hat plush, I love it. I think it's so cute. It looks like a sheep, yeah. We have some, what looks like books over here. Our little art desk. Those are probably art books, if we do a lot of drawing. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it, before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I think so. Yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand.
Neat.
This is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. Who is Shiloh? He actually meant it. Who is Shiloh? Oh right, I almost forgot. Shiloh is gonna be here today. Shiloh? Lizzie's friend. Or, like, her #1 fan, I guess? Do I have to see him? It should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but you know. Come on, check out my shells some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that had washed ashore, and you pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. Over the past few years, you'd even learned some of their scientific names. You had a whole picture book dedicated to different shells and sea life. You'd learned a lot by flipping through its pages. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. This is going so well. Cove is so real for how done he looked when he heard others were joining. Yeah. I mean, it's more than he signed up for, that's for sure. You might need to run tests on the seashells. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're so fine. Everyone has, like, jars of seashells that they just got from the beach, right? It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus, but Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. The playdate really is, hey guys, come look at my collection of weird stuff, and that's all we're gonna do. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was a part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you've both been escorted downstairs and deposited in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. Great. Bust it open. We can keep looking while we wait for Shiloh. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken aloud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. You want to give it to him? Guy, you hadn't played Mass Effect yet? The running test on seashells thing is a reference to that? Oh! Okay. Yeah, I've not played Mass Effect yet. You can collect seashells in Mass Effect? That is so cool. We'll give him the shell. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? Uh-huh, but I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. I don't know if we want to insist or just let it go. We'll insist. No, it's okay for you. You pushed the shell against Cove's chest, willing him to receive the present, but Cove firmly shook his head and kept his arms tightly at his sides. It was a battle you couldn't win, at least not today. Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give it to him another time. I guess that's fair. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. You'll be alright. He's here. We can't tell him to leave. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked on the back of the house. I could go out the window. He's already walking towards it. He is committed to not hanging out with other people. Scrambling to think of something to say, you stepped forward, then paused. We'll go with them. Hurry, they'll see where we're going. He glanced back at you, then nodded. The two of you made your way to the window together. It wasn't much of a distance to clamber out, but by the time you landed gently in the bushes, you looked up to see that Cove was already taking off away from the house. You knew you could outrun him if you had to. It's so funny. Okay, he's not that fast. You knew you could outrun him if you had to. He was not that fast, but neither were you. At that speed, you weren't sure if you could go fast enough to reach him. I guess we can both be fast. I won't keep being fast in this game. Cove! You ran as fast as your legs would take you, grass whipping around your ankles as you did so. Cautiously, Cove slowed to a halt and looked back at you. Where are you going? I don't know. Somewhere else. I just don't want to see. Mel! You looked back and saw Shiloh huffing down the hill after you, the backpack he clutched bouncing all around along the way. What are you doing? Can I come? He must have seen you leaving out the window and followed behind. Hi! Okay. Is Lizzie younger than us? Because Shiloh feels younger than us. Oh, hi, are you Cove?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm Shiloh. Okay. Yep, are we going back or are we gonna play outside? Shiloh's eyes moved between you and Cove. The smile remained strong on his face. It got a tiny frown from Cove in response. You were just grateful he hadn't asked why you had been running away. Inside, we left the box on the floor. Right, my shells and stuff. We have to make sure they're okay. Shiloh's just a little guy. With Shiloh trailing behind, you and Cove headed back to the house. The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach thing some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color, kind of like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay. Lizzie, come get your friend. No, truly, why is he hanging out with us?
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue. Might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
I like those colors too.
Awesome.
Both of them smiled. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. They have us babysitting the little dude. I think they do. I think they do. Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know.
Aw.
Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach. Probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards you.
Ah.
There's a park? Yep, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Mel? The park is fun. Yeah, no, we love it. It's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do, and lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. Sounds like it could be cool. So, are we going to find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she could always be allowed to walk there by herself. Oh, sick. Little bro, we can't bring you. Maybe Lizzie will be here and he'll go hang out with her. When you found her, she was hanging out on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Mel, Shiloh. Hi. She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You wondered if he would leave too. Who's that? It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. Without interrupting Lizzie's speech, Cove whispered in your ear, quiet enough that the others wouldn't overhear. I thought kids couldn't own places like parks or hills. You couldn't help but laugh a tiny bit. We did tell him that yesterday, didn't we? When Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. I have no clue, and it's Lizzie and I are probably close in age. I don't know if she's older or younger. We might even be the same age. So I think we're supposed to be 8. She looks older. She could be. I don't know. I don't think it's specified. She might be 9 or 10. That's kind of the vibe that she has. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Yeah, she's the oldest child. It might be he's the friends because they are all from the same neighborhood type of situation. Yeah, it sounds like there's not a lot of kids here anyway, so that checks out. Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Mel's age. Wait, by a lot? Maybe I'm wrong about how old she is.
Yeah.
Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. She might be 10. 10 or 11. I don't think she's older than 12. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh's just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try and steal your youth.
Oh.
That's wild. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids. They hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Oh, he took that personally. Stop saying stuff like that. You're gonna upset him. You interjected quickly, hoping Cove wouldn't start crying again. He sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Oh, rest in peace. Are there any therapists in town? Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I've met Lizzie and Mel in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hasn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. Oh, rest in peace, Shiloh. I like summer vacation a lot, too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely. You didn't really know. But she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird, Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. Not the get used to it. You offered him a small smile at that. At least, looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days, when she was in a bad mood or busy, you even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life. Welcome in, James Morningstar. Thank you for the follow. I hope you're doing well. Hit him with the deal with it. No, she really did. She said, it is what it is. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Okay. Guys. Do we want to build we're gonna do all of them. If it lets me, I want to do all of them. But do we want to do sandcastles or fireflies first? Congrats on hitting your milestone. Thank you. I was kind of surprised. Thank you. Welcome in. Congratulations on being the 900th follower. That's so slay. We started playing Our Life for the first time, and I'm having the best time. This shit is so cute. You want to do the fireflies next? That's what I'm thinking as well. Okay. Let's lock this in.
All right.
Tonight we're going to catch fireflies. Oh? At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, are you? Okay. Dear, I think you were right. Mom is the one with the long hair and glasses. Oh, you are you? You started eating faster. Mac and cheese sounds good, right? I love mac and cheese. It makes my stomach hurt. But it's so worth it if I get like the right kind that does not make me violently ill. A grin curved your lips as you started to eat a bit faster, excited for what was to come. It seemed like you were too excited, however, as you started to choke and cough on your food from shoveling it down so quickly. Okay. Mommy reached over to pat you on your back, firmly helping to dislodge the noodles and enable you to breathe again. We almost died because we were excited to go catch fireflies. You took a big gulp of water from your glass, giving your moms a sheepish look. Oops. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Leaves? Why is Shiloh here? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. Betrayed by noodles? It's always the noodles. It's always the noodles that will do it to you. There was a period of my life where I had noodles, like spaghetti or mac and cheese, every single day, sometimes twice a day. But there was a period of my life where I had it every single day. And now I barely eat spaghetti. I think I got a little burnt out on pasta there for a while. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home or watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree.
Well,
It's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you'd finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. If there's one thing about our character as an 8-year-old, you will never catch us talking with our mouth full. Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Yeah, looks like they'll be able to see us from the living room.
duh.
That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right, if someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth, not the full name.
Jeez.
No one is gonna die, sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was.
Huh?
You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest. And they both choke on noodles, the end. You know, people said it was an emotional experience. I didn't think it was gonna be choking on noodles.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Oh, Cove, hi, you're here. Cove smiled at you at your enthusiastic greeting, and you hoped Mommy would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was there. It meant he could join you all in catching fireflies. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face that almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver out from his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Hi, Cove. Shiloh's trying so hard. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Like that? I've never seen anyone wave like that. That's... Okay. Poor boy being sent as the little worker. Damn. Not him being sent as a delivery boy. Are you going to catch fireflies with us? You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. Seems more complicated than just waving. It does. It does. Unless they meant like this. Wait, now I feel stupid. Unless they meant like this, but the way I read it, that's what I immediately saw. I don't know. I'd have to read it again. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore.
Yeah.
I can do that. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The Fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been any where he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Clove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. You're learning Hawkeye? Are you having fun? I don't think I would ever enjoy playing Hawkeye, because I've been told he's basically Hanzo from Overwatch, and I hated playing Hanzo. But I hope you're at least enjoying it. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Mel. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling to you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Oh, I didn't know I could back up. Is he gonna be mad if I tug him along? We'll just walk with him. You felt behind, siding up next to him and matching his stride. He noticed right away. Not really, I'm not good at hitting my shots. It's like a 50-50 shot. I'm decent. That's fair. I hope you start to enjoy him as you get better, but if you're not having fun, like, you don't have to play him. That's kind of been my philosophy with a lot of games like that. Because there are a lot of... I've noticed I enjoy a lot more of the support characters and tank characters than I do the, like, squishy or damage characters. There's not a lot of squishy or damage characters that I enjoy. Good with Mr. Fantastic, though. Doesn't he play very differently, though?
It's okay.
You can go ahead if you want. You smile and shake your head. I don't. After a short while, the two of you reached the hill behind the house. The fireflies were out in full force, floating on the breeze, their gentle glow winking in and out and creating an almost magical effect. Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle.
Wow.
Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys! It's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. We're gonna laugh. We're having a good goofy time. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. He does, and he's great to play as if you play like you're on crack and I play like that. I've played him one time, and I basically played him the way I do Venom, which is just be really obnoxious. I'm glad you made it home safely, Kay. Shiloh is precious. I kind of feel bad for him because he's trying so hard to be friends with Cove, and Cove is just like, okay. he wants to be friends with him so bad. I really hope that Cove opens up to Shiloh, or at least like calms down, chills out, and is actually able to have a conversation with Shiloh at some point. What? You gestured to his head, and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Cove jumped, then followed after the glow.
Oh.
Oh look, Lizzie has one. That's amazing. Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. Had a bandage on your thumb and you tried to be cautious of that. You were good at not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried about that. You had 2 bandages on your hand and you tried to be cautious. Nah, I think we are uninjured. We're not worried at all. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Oh, damn. I guess we're gonna have to try it again next year when his arm is healed. I didn't understand the injury choice when I played. I think it's just, like a characterization thing. Kids really aren't that concerned with scratches or cuts. At least I wasn't when I was a kid. I think I was when I had them, but when I didn't have them, I wasn't worried about getting them until I got one. I was like, damn, I should have been worried about it. But I feel like my nephew can go either way. Like, he gets very, he's the kind of kid that will wear a band-aid on a cut that, like, far past when he needs to. Okay. Aw, damn. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You told him about the firefly you had. Want to see the one I got? Cove gave one more look in the direction of his lost prize before coming closer and peering at the insect still crawling across your palm. You held out your hand and he leaned closer, eyes widening a tad behind his glasses. Cove remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hand closer to yours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers lightly over top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. Stay very still. Last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. Yeah, exactly. The firefly, noticing the new connection, crawled up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped. Guys, this is the start of our childhood best friends to lovers arc. Also, wild that the fireflies are, after being caught, are just chill to hang out on our hands. It worked. Yeah, you got one. Cove's lips turned up into a slow smile, and his eyes shined brighter than the bug. Thanks, Mel. With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a friendly smack, performing an awkward low 5. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. Your firefly was gone.
Sorry.
Oh, this is so cute. That's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Right, bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another. Let's collect more. We can work together. His face broke out into a wide grin. We'll get a bunch. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first, you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Mel, this way! You followed the sound of Cove's voice to the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching with his fingers and only narrowly missing his target. Cove and you took turns trying to scare the fireflies in the direction of the other. You showed him some techniques that you had learned, like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying it for himself. There were a few times when you almost ran into each other, giggling as you dove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was an overall huge success with the both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Cove didn't complain. He breathed in heavily, and his face seemed really flushed. That was fun. A lot of fun. You smiled at him broadly, happy that he had enjoyed the activity. Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Mel, Cove, get up here. We're gonna have a race. Girl, these kids are exhausted. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning to you with quick hand gestures. I can imagine it would sound like grasshoppers. Yeah, no, or grasshoppers and cicadas, maybe. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi!
Go!
Hi, Cove, you can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. Well, now I feel bad that we're leaving him out. We'll stay with Cove.
Really?
Why? You don't have to. It's okay. I want to watch. You moved beside him on top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face. Lizzie said, I know what you are. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down! Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. What decade is this set in? I have no clue. I don't think it's set in a specific decade. I'm gonna be so real with you. It might be easier to tell when the kids grow up based on the technology around us. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably 90s and early 2000s just because I'm assuming the people who made it are probably like basing it off of their own childhoods. But that is a baseless assumption. And that is assuming that the people who made it are somewhere around my age. So I have no clue. Maybe we'll piece it together as the game goes on. Unless Kay knows. Kay, do you know if there's like a set time period for this? Thinking 90s as well. I will say, depending on where you lived and the type of parents you had, like, this is also like a very early 2000s childhood. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck until about halfway down the hill. Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his arms in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. There's never any reference to the time period. Okay, so I guess it's supposed to be like a nebulous modern day. That's probably just it then. Not bad. You got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in. They're protecting Shiloh's victory. You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eye and saw he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. I remember rolling down hills, but kids check the grass. I remember I didn't do it a ton, but I didn't live in an area with a lot of hills, but my great-grandparents, their front yard, I think was a nice hill. At least to like a toddler, it was a nice hill. And I remember doing that at their house a couple of times. Probably late 90s, early 2000s. Early to mid 90s, we really didn't have playdates. Free-range children were more common. Interesting. I still feel like that would also probably depend on like where you lived in the community that you grew up in. Hi Desi, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. 4 of you walked back home together, side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. Can't stay long, but I wanted to pass by and say hi. I appreciate you coming by and saying hello, Desi. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. The fireflies was so cute. Okay, we're gonna do sandcastles next because that was the one I was trying to pick between. Stay safe, everyone. Have fun. You too, Desi. You better be staying safe as well. Kind of hard to be a free-range kid when you live a 15-minute drive, at least from all of your friends. Yeah. It's easier to be free-range, like, if you live in a neighborhood or, like, a walkable community. But even then, like, I guess it would also depend on, like, who your parents are. Some people are free range, but only on the street they live on. If you say it like that, suddenly I don't feel safe anymore. Sorry, Desi. Do you not feel safe because you haven't been being safe? Oh, it's so easy to accidentally rewind. Alright, we're gonna do the sandcastle one next. Feel like I could hit my knee by mistake and you'll appear out of thin air and you'd kill me. Oh, well that's not what I meant at all by that. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you, him, and Shiloh set out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon. Not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue. Another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you'd heard about Cove's old life so far, in tidy pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get that cast off. Like, make a pact with a witch or something, just to get it off of his arm. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, but he couldn't even go in the sea. A likely excuse. Desi, I promise I'm not gonna just appear out of thin air and kill you for hitting your knee. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently, soon wasn't soon enough. Are you having a Mr. Fantastic moment, Zenith? I gotta play more Marvel Rivals again. My friend group that I started streaming and like playing Minecraft with years ago, we started another modded server like just for fun last weekend, and that's all I've been able to do. Jokes aside, I suggest you give at least the Royal Alchemist demo a try for a visual novel Thursday. It's that one LGBTQ stats raising fantasy visual novel I suggested once a long time ago. Yes, I remember. Okay, I think I still have it wishlisted. I'm not sure. Yes, no, we'll definitely have to give that a shot. It's so pretty. The ocean? And huge. There could be anything out there. Like mermaids.
Yeah.
Shiloh's on board with the mermaids. All of the, I feel, okay, mermaids aren't real, we're not saying that. Swimming might be fun if we could, feels kind of like, all of these feel like we're rubbing it in his face. We're fine here on the land. I'm sure we're having a great time. Oh, wait. Did somebody do a donation? That's so slay. That's so slay. I did not set it up to say names. Wait, hi Brennan. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Feel like I'm gonna be dragged into the fucking insane asylum just repeating Mr. Fantastic lines or Ultrons because holy fuck, the road to gold was painful. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. I'm good, sweaty and tired, about to shower, but good. I'm glad you're doing well. I hope it's sweaty and tired in a good way because you had a very nice, productive day. I will DM you the spoiler-free guide if it becomes needed sometime during the playthrough if you want. But Real Alchemist, I mean, okay. We might. How's playing our life going? It's going so well. We caught fireflies. We had the cutest little moment with Cove. We're still in the childhood phase, but we're having the best time so far. Just spent some extra time outside on my way home. Nice! Nice. I hope the weather's been... Well, I'm sure since you spent time outside, the weather was nice. The dock is in? The dock is in. We love to see it. I'll be going for real. Stay safe out there, everyone. Of course. Desi, thanks for dropping by and saying hello. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is what I put in my dono message in case you wanted to read it. My dearest, most fiercest non-binary friend, whether you knew this or not, you inspired me since the moment I met you and keep being awesome. Happy Pride. Britton, that's so sweet. That is so kind. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. I don't know if that's firstest or... No, that's firstest. That's so nice of you, Brennan. Firstest? Okay, I definitely did not read that right the first time. That's so kind. Hearing mermaid reminds me of that one mermaid documentary. I'm sure they made 99% of it up. I don't think I've seen anything like that, but I remember I used to watch like YouTube videos that were like proof mermaids are real footage, and they were always like the creepiest looking stuff half the time. It's not a word, so it makes sense. I think what I also do when I'm reading is instead of actually reading the entire word, my brain picks out like letters and just assumes that it's something. That's why I thought Raging's name was Jolene for at least a year or two. Because instead of actually reading his whole username, my brain mixed the letters up and then also said, well, I know he likes JoJo's, so its name is probably Jolene. I need to learn how to read. Like, actually read all the letters. That documentary was 100% completely made up. They rehired the actor who played the researcher to play roles in other fake documentaries. That is so funny. So freaking funny. I'm glad you think so, Brennan. It is very silly. I still can't believe I really thought that man's name was Jolene for the longest time. I'd also say you're my dearest friend. I'm glad I was very Baldur's Gate coded last year. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come across your Wilburn Bongle video. Not your Wilburn Bongle, the Wilburn Bongle video being our introduction to each other. We wouldn't have met. That's wild. I love the butterfly effect. Because I will say, if I never started streaming, like, I wouldn't know, like, any of you guys. And if I wasn't Minecraft pilled, I would have never met Brennan. Cal, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. We were just talking about how if we didn't, like, do the things that we had done, we would have never met each other. I'm so glad someone knew what I was talking about because I can remember those so clearly and how fake they were. Were they, like, the kind of documentaries that would, like, air on, like, the History Channel kind of vibe? Or, like, did they try to pass themselves off as 100% genuine? The internet is sometimes magic. It truly is. Like, the internet has changed my life in so many ways. Butterfly effect is often unpredictable. It is. It's really cool, though. I think I found you because of your Baldur's Gate videos. That's wild. I think a lot of people did, but it was such a fun time. I love Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate era of my life was truly amazing. Same, also because of Baldur's Gate videos. The unpacking, yeah. Those are really fun to make. I love yapping about the Baldur's Gate characters. I feel like I always have so much to say. Think they were History Channel ones? Oh, so, okay. I know I used to think, I don't know if I still would because I haven't, like, actively thought about it, but I used to think if it was on the History Channel, it had to 100% be accurate. I would have never had my besties without Minecraft. Yes, exactly. I think about this all the time. Like, the Alethea crew, so, like, K-Pen, Hannah, Keegan, and a lot of, like, I don't think most people were here when I first started streaming, although Brennan was. Like, a lot of the people I used to stream with, back when everyone streamed, I would have never met them if it wasn't for Minecraft. Because we all met on a small streamers Discord server, but the whole reason we actually started talking to each other is because somebody said, hey, what if we make a Minecraft server with dragons? And a handful of us were like, count me in. That sounds sick as hell. And that was like 4 years ago, and we're still friends. Playing Minecraft servers with dragons on it. It was on, like, Discovery Channel, I think, or maybe Animal Planet. I don't know, but they had one little disclaimer at the start saying it was fiction, but then the whole rest of it presented everything like it was fact. I did met a girl in college who was 100% convinced they were true. Oh, okay. I will say, I think that's fine then. Maybe not on those specific channels, because I feel like people don't expect fiction from those kinds of channels, but, like, maybe I don't watch enough of them, enough of those channels. But I feel like if it is upfront about being a piece of fiction, but then is committed to the bit throughout the thing, I think that's fine. Because I think if they weren't committed to the bit, it probably wouldn't have been as good as a fake documentary. I would probably, like, if I were gonna make that, I would do it the same way. Have a disclaimer at the beginning being like, none of this is real. And then deadass commit to the bit. I think we might have to end it, like, in the credits, be like, hey, by the way, none of that was real. But I guess when you're watching things on TV, you don't always catch the start of it. Watch / listen to a lot of YouTubers while drawing. I would too if I was an artist, but whenever I'm, like, crocheting or making candy or just, like, doing any task that doesn't require, like, I guess full attention isn't the right word, but, like, tasks where I don't get overwhelmed if I'm listening to something while I'm doing them, I think is the better way to describe it. I always have a video or a stream going. Can't draw if I don't have a video essay or playthrough going on my other screen. Real. Sometimes listen to audiobooks or watch TV shows while drawing too. Yeah, I could see that. It's my best buddy. Oh, yeah, Overlord usually doesn't join until a little bit later, a lot of times. I remember them saying they caught a shark and found out it ate a mermaid. I've heard that! Picky Pick, I have heard that before. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I've never watched the documentary, but maybe a lot of the YouTube videos I watched as a teenager used that documentary as a source. Used that fictional documentary as a source for their info. I finished that book about Facebook I mentioned on my stream. It was a wild ride. Oh, wow. It definitely sounds like it would be a wild ride, especially because you know it's true. Like, that's wild. I don't remember what this was in response to. Oh, yeah, I'm fine here on land. Alright. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation. Cove turned back to the water. Damn. I felt like any other choice would be like, man, why do you have to have a cast? And that just didn't... I don't know. Usually have a video stream going when I game, and I have music going when I write. Usually music I listened to in high school. Yeah. I will say, when I'm writing, I usually play music as well. So I love to make playlists for things. And every, like, writing project that I have right now has a playlist for it. And that's what I listen to when I'm, like, writing. It's so fun, though. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle? Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening. Maybe I could, too. I've only made big piles before. It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away. Well, how do you do it, then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. They're becoming friends! Shiloh's finally done it! Think a bunch of clips were reposted without context. That's how the girl in college got convinced. I might be a victim of that as well. I remember in like 2014, I guess, 2014, around that time, I used to watch a lot of videos that were like top 10 clips that are proof mermaids are real, because they would always use some like fuck ass thumbnail, and it's like, what is that? And like videos like that, and I watched a lot of ghost ones too. Those were fun. And the fun thing about it is, even knowing they're fake, it's kind of cool to watch them and try to figure out how the person faked it. Because some people do very elaborate things to fake, like, mythological or supernatural paranormal things on video. It's honestly kind of cool. Alright, I'll play too. I love making sand stuff.
Okay.
Shiloh's having the best day. I think they got you with the mermaid propaganda. I think they might have. I don't know if I like actually deadass believe that they're real, but it's in that same way, like I'm not gonna be out here and be like they're absolutely 100% real, but at the same time, if we do get like hard science that they were ever real at some point, it'd be like, oh, cool, I'm not surprised, but that's fun. Like, does that make sense? Like, you kind of halfway believe it, but not, like, fully with your whole chest kind of way. I feel like I'm kind of the same way with ghosts. Like, a lot of ghost stories, there's no way that shit happened. But at the same time, it's kind of fun to live in a... Okay, fun may not be the right word, because a lot of the ghost stories are terrifying, but it's kind of fun to live in a world where they did happen. YouTuber rec for everyone. John Wolf has great ghost debunking videos. Kay, send me a link right now. I'm watching that when I go to bed tonight. That sounds so cool. See, I remember I was watching one of those like crime shows, like the fictionalized like murder shows. And one of the episodes, it was something like paranormal, but then they went to the place where it happened, and one of the characters was explaining like certain environmental elements and like ambience and just certain things about like that particular location that caused the sensation of feeling like it was haunted. And I don't remember the specifics. I just know like it was very cool to learn and be like, oh, that's kind of fun. So, I don't know. I think that's like, it is cool to see people debunk stuff, because it's like the part of me that wants to like actually know for real what happened on it. Thank you, Kay. I can always trust Kay for good video recommendations. I watched a bunch of that ghost stuff as a kid too, and now I'm a hardcore skeptic who just has an underlying feeling of, man, I want this stuff to be true though. That'd be cool. I feel like I wouldn't call myself a skeptic about it. But also, I'm aware of the fact that 99% of the videos on the internet are probably fake. But I do think that stuff could be real. Maybe. I think it's real enough that I'm not gonna be out here, like, doing things to invite it into my home, you know? The only time I'm convinced they got it right was for the colossal squid. Yeah, no, that's fair. I really like Hannah the Horrible's videos where she debunks paranormal TikToks. It really helps with making you look at things twice with a critical lens, but also have fun with it. No, that's so fair. That sounds like a good time. I'm gonna have to look her up. She also has a similar, mostly a skeptic, but I'd like to believe sort of vibe. And I feel like those people are very fun, because I feel like sometimes when people are like a skeptic of stuff, they're like, no one can believe in this, no one can have fun, and you're stupid if you entertain it kind of vibe. So it's nice to see people that are like normal about it and will let people have fun. All right, he puts his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded. I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started. Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle.
Cool.
Cool, this is gonna be a house. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make... We can't all... We all have to make something different. We're gonna make a mansion. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to design a mansion. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. Oh, he's locked in. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of the shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was... a green piece of sea glass? Hell yeah. It was the best fit for your mansion, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly, so you put it in a funny place where it'd take a second look to see it. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. I want to see Cove's sandcastle. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink plaster. The silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney. Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart. You should be an architect. You'd be good at it, Shiloh. Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Mel, can I see what you did? Sure. He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. All you really knew about mansions was that they were supposed to be big, so you'd gone really big. It was the size of the country club that Lizzie played golf at, compared to Cove and Shiloh's buildings. Probably even bigger. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation. Hey, Mel, what did you do? This is my mansion. Looks great. Your house is so big. Thanks. You're welcome. I don't think that's the same as a house. Huh? Is being a house bad?
No.
No, but we each made our own place. Nobody is the same. I think we are. Cove raised an eyebrow at that. If something is only one of that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual. Shiloh is so precious. I hope nothing bad ever happens to this child. But I also don't think this is that kind of game, so he should be safe. I don't think I'm very special. Shiloh.
Why?
Why not? Nobody else is you. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove trailed off. Again, there was a moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Mel? You waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Why are you using the vent holding a gun emoji about Shiloh in the next chapter? Actually, don't answer that question. I'll get there eventually. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh.
Well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Mel's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. Damn. That was kind of boring for him, though. Giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important, too. Alright, we're gonna let Cove finish his story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had the chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us, only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand and then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear it. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Okay. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more. Aren't you going to finish your story? Cove's brow wrinkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened. Thanks for telling me. You're welcome. Even if not much happened, you weren't gonna complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well...
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved here. Dad showed me the beach first, before we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Cove's brow furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hand through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Hey, Shiloh? Yeah? Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I don't know, I guess. Okay, it's kind of weird. I know we're 8, and 8-year-olds kind of just are like that. But that's so rude. Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment, and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw. But it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad. He seemed almost panicked. Okay. Cove our bitchy king. I guess so. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer. Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses. Nobody is named Cove.
Who asked you to come?
It was probably just your dad bugging Mel's family some more because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you. Shiloh, didn't we say on the first day we met him that there are no kids here? Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. The girlies are fighting! It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering. We're just gonna pop off Shiloh. No, I will say the why do you wear glasses in response to why do you get red is kind of funny. Because I know sometimes whenever I'm watching something with my nephew, especially when he was younger, and he would be like, why do they look like that? I would just look at him and go, why do you look like that? Because I think that was kind of funny. But also, like, that's just kind of what they look like. We're just gonna mess with the sand. You picked up some sand and turned it over in your hands. There didn't seem to be much you could do to stop the fight, and you weren't sure what to do with yourself. Cove looked over at what you were doing and started building his own set of walls. Shiloh took a breath before kneeling back down to his own patch of sand. It seemed they both decided to try playing again. You were glad for that. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Clove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable to the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. Cove and Shiloh had mostly followed your lead and barely said a word. His mom standing behind him, even Shiloh's goodbye had been quiet. Friendly, cheerful, but noticeably quiet. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together toward the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. We'll ask him what he's thinking. Something was definitely up, so you choose to reach out to him and ask. Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face.
Oh.
I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said he was all red a lot? He gets embarrassed. Embarrassed? But I didn't say anything that bad. Might have upset him anyway. I guess. I can get it. Why he would do that. Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. Hey, Mel. Was Shiloh telling the truth? Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second. Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot. We did take the money, but we're hanging out with him because we want to. An uncomfortable weight settled in your chest at that question. You liked spending time with Cove. You didn't even have to think hard about it. You knew you did, but you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cove still didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. Nobody's making me spend time with you. Cove's shoulder relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay is all.
Thanks.
Thanks for telling me. Your throat tightened. It was hard to meet Cove's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. You're welcome. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. We'll hug Cove goodbye. You stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him tightly. You turned your head, resting your cheek on his shoulder. Cove stood there awkwardly with his hands at his sides. He wasn't much of a hugger, but you didn't get the impression he was unhappy that you were. Bye, Cove. See you tomorrow. Bye, Mel. I hope lying about this didn't, okay, so it wasn't a lie, but I also hope not telling him about what his dad said when we first met him doesn't blow up in our faces later. I hope there are no consequences to that action. You pulled away, then jogged towards your house. When you looked back, you saw Cove making his way back home too, as if he felt your eyes on him. He turned around, he waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad, or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It would be terrible if it made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? I didn't take the money and told him, and it did still upset him. I mean, I feel like just it would be upsetting, period. I just feel like, or I hope that lying about it doesn't, like, make it worse in the future. I don't know if this is gonna come up again. You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all, but for now it was definitely something that you'd keep to yourself. Curious how this pans out? Now I'm nervous. With a final look, you went inside your house. Okay. We'll just continue going backwards. So I guess we'll do the long day. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel... nothing, really. Shiloh went along with whatever you wanted, so he wasn't a bother, but he also wasn't that much fun. Try not to do any spoilers? No, that is so fair. I appreciate you not spoiling this game. I feel like when I play these kinds of games, if I don't already know exactly how it's supposed to play out, I very much start overthinking my choices. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like... an ice cream sandwich. You craved soft ice cream sandwich between two cookies. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Outside, there were plenty of places where such goodies could be obtained, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their products. We'll sigh. As much as you really wanted that treat, it wasn't going to happen. What's wrong? I want an ice cream sandwich. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
That sounds good. We don't have any here, and I don't have any money. I already spent the $20 I got from Cove's dad. I mean, I guess so. I don't know how much time has passed. Oh, let me check if I have any. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus one stray button. You set the button aside and count the coins in neat piles. Just over $1. You announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly. It's a start. Shiloh beamed at you. We'll need to find some more. Okay. The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and sourced the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust or sandy crumbs. But every so often one of you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. I wish the $20 would have played into this. That would be cool. It would be. That's kind of what I was expecting. Your mind wandered to the $20 bill tucked away in your room. So we do still have it. It was enough for you and Shiloh to get whatever you wanted and more, but you didn't take it out. It was too special to hand over so freely. Besides, Shiloh would be more curious about where it came from and might even mention your wealth to Lizzie. The exchange had been a secret. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pulling your finds. Spoke too soon. We really did, Kay. Shiloh held his breath as you continued as you counted the coins once again. $2.53 and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? You figured he knew the answer without looking to you for confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that would follow canceled out any other feelings you might have had about that. Yeah. You can now afford something at the shops. Just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. Yay! The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar... What? Promise of sugar buoyed you on to your destination where... I don't think I said that right. To your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed the funds to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause. I said it right? Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that word used like that. Aren't you getting an ice cream sandwich? Shiloh asked as though he were entirely separate from this decision, rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea, you should choose. Try to get something you both wanted anyway. It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd be a main factor in making this happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack. What do you like? All of them, they're so good. You pressed further. But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice creams? Which is your favorite? Oh, it's so hard to pick, I don't know. Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? Yeah. And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all of your hard work was in your hands. You bit the ice cream sandwich. The chewy chocolate biscuit complemented the creamy vanilla ice cream inside. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
This man just... Okay. Now I feel bad that we took his money. He didn't want any? After everything he did to help get it? That was weird. We'll hesitate.
It's okay.
It's okay, Mel. You want it more than I do, and I'm really happy that we got to play today already. You finish it. Well, it wasn't worth arguing further. The frozen treat was being worn away by the sun and starting to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. If you waited much longer, then neither of you would be getting to eat it. Alright, thanks. The two of you began to head back home as you ate. You offered the treat once more to Shiloh, but he refused again. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt or was too afraid to. Are you scared of me? Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. No way! But you don't tell me things, like what you want to do or what treat we should get. That's not because I'm scared, it's because you have better ideas than I do. Unfortunately, this was yet another thing you couldn't entirely believe Shiloh on. You hoped it was true that he really did feel okay around you, though. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing, at least. The treat was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. What did Lizzie say to him? You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you... We'll defend Cove. You didn't know what happened or You didn't know what happened, but that wasn't going to stop you from fixing whatever was wrong. Stop it! Leave him alone! Your declaration wasn't directed just at Lizzie or anyone else specifically. It was for anyone who deserved to hear it. Mel? Are you okay? Do you need help? You could tell me. Oh, we got very defensive of this child. I got yelled at. He took a deep, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me.
Aw.
Damn, Lizzie, I'm sorry I thought it was you. Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean, old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have. They're like that with everyone. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. It didn't matter if they were really nice like Cove. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction.
Uh-huh.
I was helping. That's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No.
No, I'm just gonna stay away. Or you could teach them a lesson. There was a devilish glint in her eyes. Oh, Lizzie. What? You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great, because they're so slow, they'll never catch you. That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
Okay. Cove glared, but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. You're not a chicken, are you? What kind of person are we, guys? We'll do it. What's the worst that could happen? Really? You took a deep breath and nodded. Lizzie squealed with delight. Well, go hide. Run as soon as you hit the bell. Good luck. Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they settled down, you could make out two child-sized shapes staring from between the leaves. You knew where to look for them, though, so you told yourself that the grouchy old people wouldn't spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flicking to the house and then back at you. Be careful. I'll be quick as a flash. This is not going to go well. He gave the door and you one last look before joining Lizzie and Shiloh in their hideaway. The weight of 3 pairs of eyes on your back was heavier than anything you'd carried before as you approached the door. An option you haven't seen yet? Okay. This is new content for Kay. You hesitated as you reached for the doorbell. Then, you rung it. You slapped the buzzer and ran. Blood thumped against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Not the Nani. Approaching the hiding spot, you knew that there wasn't time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping over them. Or, to be more accurate, crashing into the tops of the bushes and then falling over to the other side. Cove quietly hissed as you unwittingly collided into him. But by the way his arms were out, it seemed he had intentionally tried to cushion your landing. Oh, we broke his arms. Lizzie put a finger to her lips and nodded at the house. You disentangled your limbs from Cove's and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth suspiciously. You covered your mouth with your hands, but it wasn't enough to stifle your giggles. Maybe he spotted one of you, or maybe it was the leaves you displaced while jumping, but he locked eyes with the bush and stormed over in your direction. Oh, he's doing the most. Shiloh gasped and looked to Lizzie. Run! Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice. Neither did Shiloh. You got up, but seeing Cove struggling to extract himself and stand up with just the one fully functional arm, you gave him a hand up before taking off after the others. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache in your legs. Yeah, so we're definitely getting in trouble for this later. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The 4 of you took a moment to catch your breath and enjoy the feeling of the cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove. Cove lifted his head. I told you they were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine, you thought. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things to attend anyway. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down, for the most part, and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him. That's a poppy. Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. And the type of poppies on this hill have the name white linen poppy, Mom told me. He quirked a smile. That's funny. He ran a finger around the edge of the petals. It doesn't feel like cloth. You need a lot of them to make anything. He nodded and released the delicate plant, evaluation complete. This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks. Oh, there are so many options. We like all flowers. Actually, no, sunflowers are fire. Yeah, those are nice too. They're bright and awesome. You match with them. Not us being sunflower coated. Thanks. Sunflower coated with our blue hair. You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. What did we see, guys? We saw a car. You saw a boxy car driving through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Doesn't that look like a car? Cove joined you in gazing skywards. Not really. Hey! He chuckled at your reaction. I can't believe he doesn't see the whimsy of the clouds. All the sun's light faded from the sky, and the moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide. Let's go to the beach! There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. We'll go there too. So you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sandcastles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge. The waves tickled your feet. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean, with shampoo and everything. That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be serious about everything. You asked what would happen, though. You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It hurt the fishies. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. I like Shiloh. He's trying his best. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You'd never heard Lizzie use that word before. Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed by waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms. It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Mel. I don't have a dad, but I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just me. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. we'll let them have their moment. You couldn't come up with something you thought would make the conversation any less awkward, so you kept quiet. It was safer that way. The silence broke with a splash as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. One with no mom and one with no dad. I mean, there was the option to make a joke that, like, Clove's dad and Shiloh's mom would hook up, but that... First of all, that didn't really feel like a joke an 8-year-old would make, and it's also very strange. It's a strange thing to say. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. We're gonna retaliate. You used your foot to smack the water pulling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she spluttered, some of the salty seawater having landed in her mouth. Damn, that's diabolical. She spat it out. Yuck. Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns before the predator and taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first onto the ground. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone not him getting whisked away. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain, as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered to his head, and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over. Way to go, Shiloh. Not calling him dumb. We'll help him up. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. He reached over and took it. Slowly, he started to pull himself from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them. Oh, this is cute. What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low, but there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose and pretend it was an accident. Especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside, chatting to Cove's dad. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you were all in, ranging from messy to soaked.
Now.
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to be for the long drive home? Cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, bucko. I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and had just as much fun. Oh no. That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove, let's get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought.
Okay.
Slightly moist? Yeah, just like kind of covered in water. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. His name is Cliff? Night, Lee's family, and Shiloh, too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body in his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Smiling, you waved back. Good night.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up, too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom. They said do not get sand all over the place. Cliff? Interesting, yeah. They're both named after, like... Oh, what am I trying to say? Like, geological structures? I don't think that's right. They're both named after, like, things in nature. That's Mom? Hey, our parents don't have names. Okay, Lizzie's mom. Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mom had found, you waited in the hall until you were less sandy and you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. Felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Mrs. Fields had come to collect him a little while ago. I still have my windows open, and right before I started stream, my mom and my sister got here with their dog. Tell me why they are both outside just taking the dog out. I saw the movement in my mirror that's like on the other side of the room from the window. It was a bit funny. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without the hat for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad they weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Cute. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mom, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why?
What a great question.
Duh.
I said why, and it'll be fun. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
Do you want to? I don't know. Please, Val. When have I ever had a bad idea? Whenever we play with you, it's crazy. I wasn't asking you. I'll try it, but that sounds boring. It's not gonna be, I guarantee. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Mel, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Our bitchy king. I kind of love his beef with Lizzie. Like, they're friendly, I guess. But it doesn't seem like either one really likes the other one. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults. Yep. But there's other kinds of sports, too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Mel? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? Is there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Nope, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you'd prefer to play... Gymnastics sounds fun. You couldn't spend the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be as much space as there was outside, but you could still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a gymnast.
All right.
How about you, Cove? I pick volleyball. I should have known. Guess he does have volleyball aura, I guess. Okay, so Mel, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're on a popular beach volleyball team, and... Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway, Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cove, your team was bronze, and Mel, you barely missed out on the gold and got silver. It's more real if we're not all first place. Okay. You stayed silent and looked at your hands. Next to you, Cove leaned towards Lizzie with a frown.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way! It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses, here with the street. On it, right on the sand, by the water. Nobody tell this child about rising sea levels or hurricanes or tsunamis or anything like that. His house won't stay there for long. Just like that, all the tension was back. Soul trapping someone and using it to enchant a fork is crazy. Was it you that was saying that about when we were playing Dragon Age Tuesday? Or Solid Foundations? No one tell this kid about Solid Foundations. It's gonna wreck his dreams. Okay. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you'd want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Oh, he's got her with that.
Jeez.
Well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here, and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you're yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her sides. It's not impossible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together. You always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand this time, you thought... We'll stick by Cove. Actually, being on the beach is cooler. Yeah, we'll do that. It's like kind of agreeing with Cove, but less like, I don't know, feels less aggressive towards Lizzie. I have no clue. He can be on his own shell out there. I think that is what he would prefer, actually. He'd be like Ken in the Barbie movie and live on the beach. That's his plan. Who wouldn't want to live on the beach? It'd be really great. You could have windows made from driftwood and seashell wind chimes. He smiled slightly over the agreement, then turned to Lizzie, who with bolstered confidence. Kind of wish I lived in a beach town where I didn't have to drive anywhere. I think in theory that would be cool, but I think I like living far away enough from, like, close enough to the beach that, like, going there is not a big deal, but far enough away that the unique natural disasters are less impactful on me specifically. I played this game very much with the sisters always forgive mindset. Like, this particular argument is not going to be that big of a deal, but I also feel like if we never side with her, we'll probably kind of mess up our relationship. So maybe I should stop just going all in on siding with Cove all the time. But also, like, siblings fight all the time. I feel like we're close enough in age with Lizzie that this is normal. Oh, true. Forgot about the natural disasters. Yeah. That's okay. In an ideal world where that didn't happen, living on the beach would be cool as hell. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. I mean, to be fair, Cove just got here. He literally just started living on the beach. It still has novelty to him. I'm gonna be so for real. I do not like beaches. I can't swim, and I have very Anakin Skywalker type of mentality when it comes to sand. That is so fair. I really like to collect seashells. I think they're cool. I have like a, I don't know where it is. Oh, they're all right here next to me. I have like a big flower vase full of like big conch shells. And then I have like 2 of these little smaller ones full of shells. This one is all scallops. The other one is a little bit farther away and also propping something else up, so I'm not just gonna grab it. But it's full of like different shells because I have all my scallops together. I don't go to the beach very often, so it still has novelty in my brain. But I do love to go shell hunting. You can get stone beaches in places, so not all are sand madness. That is true. That's so fair. Honestly, I just love to live anywhere where I wouldn't have to drive. I hate driving. I can respect that. I don't mind driving, but I also know I think if I lived in a place where it didn't take like 20 minutes to go anywhere or longer, I would leave the house a lot more. Like, if I could just walk everywhere, I would probably leave the house a lot more. So I get that. Partly why I like Portland. Oh, is Portland a very walkable city? I did not know that about Portland. You're being so unreasonable. You're the one fighting with an 8-year-old that you're apparently so much older than. It's very bikeable. Oh, okay. That's fair. Stone beaches are bad because you can't take them all. I can relate. I've been collecting rocks since I was 9. And I would say like 75% of my rock collection has been sourced myself out of my grandma's backyard and different like nature trails. Maybe not 75%, but like a good chunk of my rocks. Like my biggest rocks, I got them straight from mountain rivers myself. It's just something fun about scavenging for rocks and shells. I'd put stones in my pocket to the point I have a rock pocket now. Yeah, me too. Me too. The walks are slightly long, but I like a long walk. Okay, that's fair. Next time you move, you can look up different neighborhoods' walkability score. That's a good idea. That is a very good idea. Also, thank you, Picky Pick, for the posture check. And the stretch. Are we also gonna get a hydrate? You don't there it is. You don't have to. I just know a lot of you guys like to do those in threes. I think my place has a 90 walkability score. That's good, right? It's just like out of 100. And the higher the better. That sounds good. I don't know about the place I live now. Like what it is specifically. But like I'm pretty sure it'd be like a 0. Because there are no sidewalks. And things are pretty far. I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Mel, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But...
Bye.
Oh, I feel like we fucked this interaction up. No, I've been window shopping apartments in cities for my friend, and since I'm the only one with a car, I'd have to pay attention to that and public transit scores. Yes. Walkability in the South is a 0. Oh, for sure. For sure. I will say walkability is a little bit easier if you live in college towns, but that walkability only extends to like the areas that are more populated by college students. So there's pros and cons to that. You can put address in walkscore.com. I'm gonna look that up later. But I do think Kay is right about walkability in the South being a 0, because I don't think I've ever in my life lived in a place where you could like easily walk somewhere that wasn't just like houses in your neighborhood. So that's cool. That's not cool, but like it's cool that you can look up the scores for the places. You have to be in the city in the South in my experience. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. And even then, like, it depends on what part of the city you're in. But I think most cities at least have a bus system? Or it's easier to Uber. Remembers living in between frat houses on the party street in college? Yeah, no thanks. Rest in peace, dear. I actually did not live on campus when I went to college. I lived at home still, so I didn't have to deal with that. Luckily. But I could imagine if that's not like the kind of environment you would want to be in, it would not be fun living there. You can find a good walk score in downtown Savannah, Georgia, where I went to college. Yes. Which is great because parking in downtown Savannah can be a headache, especially if you're in like the tourism-y area where all of the parking is parallel parking. And I'm not good at parallel parking, so every time I go there with friends, we put our car in one place, and then we just walk to everywhere we're trying to go. That way we don't have to move the car and park again. Parts of Atlanta. Yeah. That is true. I know every time we're in Atlanta for anime conventions, we do a lot of walking to nearby like restaurants and things like that. I live in town, so it's relatively easy for me to walk. I still have to drive to work though. Okay. You live in the South too? Okay. That's cool. Loved waking up at 9 in the morning on a Thursday morning to trap music so loud it felt like it was in my bedroom and beer pong all set up on the lawn well before lunch. That's terrible. Although I think having like things not in my room be so loud it sounds like it's in my room regardless of the time of day or regardless of the day would be very obnoxious. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay? Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? We'll tell the truth. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. I didn't put the blame on Lizzie! Elizabeth! I wouldn't say it was Lizzie's fault. Why did they take it that way? They were both fighting. DC Metro was so good, I miss it. Public transport, my love. Yeah, no, public transport, I've never lived in a place that actually has it. But I got a taste of it in college. Because there was like campus transport. But I did get to ride the MARTA, which is like the underground subway for Atlanta. I did get to ride that when we went to go see the Dragon Con parade last year. That was kind of cool. Lizzie's the oldest and they can't tell Cove off. He isn't their kid. I guess that's fair, but that doesn't mean they have to tell Lizzie off. They were matching each other's energy. Chicago has some of the best public transit I've ever seen. Nice. That's good. I've not heard a lot about the quality of public transit. I just know in the US it could be better. But it's cool that Chicago's is really good. Told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was...
That's enough.
No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. Oh, Lizzie, I'm so sorry. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Ah, right. We better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. No, Alani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say anything. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space. Mom just asked you what you'd like to listen to. Choose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. Yeah, because I feel bad. I didn't realize just telling the truth was going to get her in trouble. Chicago is good. Portland and Boston are okay. Some serious gaps. New York City is big, but kind of janky because it is several subways stitched together. I have not heard a single good thing about the New York public transport. I have a friend who lived there for a little while, who is from like Georgia initially, but I did not know it was several subways stitched together. That is fascinating. Chicago is one of the cities we're eyeing up. The only downside is it's apparently prohibitively expensive / a pain in the ass to have a car in the city. So I probably wouldn't be able to drive even if I wanted to. Oh, that sucks. DC having a good one makes sense because they have a lot of tourists too. They need it to be easy to navigate for outsiders. Missing the public transit story about NYC. No, there wasn't. I didn't tell the story, just that my friend didn't like. We'll wait for Kel to get back to explain. No, dear, I get that because I like having the freedom to be able to just get in my car and go places without having to plan around public transport. And I like the idea of if I want to go somewhere, like a longer trip, I could just do that. And I don't have to figure out like transport and like connecting rides or whatever. Basically, New York used to have several private company subways, then the city took them over and forced them to be one system. So it's big but janky. Oh, I did not know that. That is very interesting. I have a friend who lives in New York City, and they've complained excessively about the random mariachi bands on the subway. Why would they complain about that? Unless it takes up a, like, if they're not in a good place for that. I'll be in San Diego in October, and according to my friend Dana, we will be taking the trolley everywhere, so I'm excited. Did you guys, I know you went to San Diego for TwitchCon that one year. Did you guys get to do a lot of the public transport there too? That does sound fun. I hope you have a good time in San Diego. Alright, we're gonna cheer Lizzie up. You were happy to see it brightened her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. Alright, sick. Our sister does not hate us. Chicago's is so good because Chicago burnt down so they could completely rebuild it. That makes sense. They got a second chance. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it. So you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. This worked out so nicely. Our Airbnb was not located by the trolley, and I honestly didn't do too much research on it, so I didn't really know it was there. Oh, that's fair. That is so fair. I probably would have done the same. I would have not have even realized. Skeletor from the old He-Man cartoon just makes me laugh now. Also run away laughing like a maniac. I have never seen He-Man. My only, knowledge about it is, from memes and just the fact that that's where She-Ra originated from. And I did watch the reboot of She-Ra that was on Netflix a few years ago. That shit was good. I've not seen the original one, though. But I know it came from He-Man. They're in the same universe. They might also be related, potentially. Like the characters. I don't know. Skeletor is very silly, though. Go to San Diego Comic-Con every year, and the trolley is kind of limited in scope, but San Diego isn't that big, so the trolley is okay. That is so fair. I know in Atlanta, the convention center that basically every convention is at nowadays, there is a MARTA station right at the convention center, so if you're in town for that kind of reason, then it's really nice. And that's also where the aquarium is, and the World of Coke if you care about that. But the aquarium, that's the real thing everyone should care about. But no, which is really nice because it makes it a lot easier for my friends that are somewhat local to come to conventions without having to drop a fuck ton of money on parking. Because the parking in that area for the parking garages that are directly linked to the convention center are very expensive. Love the She-Ra reboot. I tried watching the old She-Ra, but I couldn't finish the first episode. Is it that bad? I know She-Ra originally was just made to sell toys. I get that. I know that. I'm not expecting it to be good. But the reboot was really good. I loved it. I see. I figured it was only for around convention centers and venues, but we'll be at a lot of concerts, so hopefully it'll work out. Good luck, Kay! Who are you guys going to... You don't have to tell me publicly if you don't want to. But who are you guys going to see? It is that bad? Oof. Damn. That's so sad. I get it. It's a child's cartoon with the sole purpose to sell toys, but also children deserve good media. They deserve it. Why are so many children's cartoons dog shit? Another thing, this tangent, and then I'll get back to the game, because I think we're gonna try to wrap up stream soon so that my mom and sister aren't just hanging out by themselves. Going to see Conan Gray and then Curtis Connor, YouTube comedian. That sounds... I know who Curtis Connor is. That sounds so fun. Kel, or just to everyone, not specifically to Kel, but, so, my nephew, we would babysit him a lot, and we would watch a lot of, children's cartoons off of, Netflix or whatever, and there are so many, children's cartoons on streaming platforms with bad storytelling, not that, just bad quality storytelling. The animation is also rough. It is so bad. So some of some of it I'm like, how did this get on Netflix? What is this? Why is this what we're watching? And I understand not every kid show is gonna be that bad, and I also understand animation for TV is on a kind of schedule and budget where shortcuts have to be made, and it's not going to be perfect. I'm an anime fan, and I watch anime from like the 90s and earlier. I understand that. But like sometimes it's just dog shit. I'm just sitting there like, I'm glad my nephew's having a good time, because he's a baby and he doesn't know any better yet. But he deserves to know better. This is crazy. Partly why Bluey is so popular, I've seen quite a few episodes of Bluey. Not only is that shit cute as hell, it's really good. I feel like a lot of the children's cartoons that like blow up with adult fandoms are generally pretty good. I've not seen My Little Pony, the TV show from like the 2010s. I've not seen it, but I have friends who watched it that I know have decent taste in media, and they said it was good. You guys know I have an extensive history with Steven Universe. Like, there are some cartoons that are really good, but there are also a lot that are not, and it's like slop, kind of. And it makes me so sad. I've not finished Dragon Prince. I know it's good. It was just so hard to get past, like, I don't know, maybe it was just a stage that I was in my life. The animation gets better. Thank God it does, because season 1 is rough. It's rough. But I know it's so good. I really need to, like, go back and finish it. Because I'd heard about it, and I was like, this show sounds amazing. But I was not in a place where I could sit down and actually watch it at the time. Food me my slop as long as it's entertaining. See, that's the thing though, Picky Pick, is a lot of these like slop shows, they're not even entertaining. Like, once you've seen good media, they're not even entertaining. Dragon Prince is so good. I've heard. Basically, Spider-Verse came out and they were like, oh, that's what we should do. Into the Spider-Verse. Let's just say, if I was the kind of person that actually practiced drawing every day, Into the Spider-Verse would have made me want to actually become an animator. That shit was so inspiring. That was so good. It's not as good as Spider-Verse, but on a TV budget. No, that's fair. That's fair. Don't show him anything good so he can't know what he's missing. He likes Bluey, though. He's 7 now. He's seen good TV. I know he watched a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender with me when he was like 2 or 3. And he really liked mimicking like the fighting poses, the bending poses. I think we're due for a rewatch now that he actually has the brain capacity to comprehend. Show him gargoyles. Maybe. I should watch it first, though. It was so cute. Just this little toddler, like, mimicking Zuko. He's old enough for that now? Okay. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew it was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silence. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Not our mom being the kind of person that, like, backs into places. I don't know exactly what that says, but I know that's a personality test of some kind. I can attest that literally every single college student who is going to school with the ambition of being an animator declared Spider-Verse as their favorite movie for years after it came out. Because it's good! Like, I don't even give a shit about Spider-Man, but that movie made me give a shit about Spider-Man. It's just a good movie with good writing, and the characters are good, and the animation's delicious. I don't have to tell you guys that. I think most of you guys know that. Gargoyles is a Disney cartoon, so, like, it's not inappropriate at all. It has some fucking amazing storytelling. Okay, I worry about showing my nephew things that I haven't seen. Just because that's not my kid to fuck up, if that makes sense. But if it's a Disney cartoon, how bad could it be, truly? We'll have to give it a look. If it's on Disney Plus, he can definitely watch it then, without any issue of trying to figure out where to find it. I wasn't allowed to watch Gargoyles as a kid, but I know one of the characters was voiced by Riker from Star Trek. Oh, that's cool. You'd love the most recent animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animation is moi. Is that the one that came out like a couple of years ago? Because I've seen so much about that, and I would love it. I would love it. My friend Haley has shown me so many like edits from it and like little clips, and it's so good. It looks so good. The whole cast of Next Gen is in it except Patrick Stewart. Oh wow. How did he get left out of the Gargoyles party? Yeah. Okay. I remember Whelmed was really into that as well at one point, weren't they? Whelmed has stellar taste in media, I feel. I feel like Whelmed, if Whelmed likes something, it's gotta be good. He was too famous. I guess that's fair. They got everyone else, but he was too famous by then. Damn. I hate that for him. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes, and she nodded once. I mean, it's good that our parents are trying to teach us conflict resolution and to teach us to actually handle things as they happen and not just like sit and let it stew and get worse. These are good skills to have. But I feel like in this particular instance, it should not all be placed on Lizzie. I guess it depends just how much older than us she is, but she cannot be that much older than us. Riker is the main villain. Deanna Troi is the other main villain. Then the rest of the cast are reoccurring characters. Oh, that's cool. I do love quite a lot of cartoons, and there are some of the better forms of entertainment. Yeah. Well, I think part of it is animation allows for different, like, visual storytelling techniques, and it allows for things that you can't really do in film. And I think that's cool. I think that I really like that. I almost exclusively watch animation, which is kind of funny because I graduated as a film production major, so everyone would always be like, "Oh, have you seen all these movies?" No, I don't watch movies. I don't. Like, I watch the movies in my film classes. But there's so many movies that I have not seen, and so many people would be so surprised. They're like, how could you not have seen this movie? You're literally going to school to make movies. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I would have been an animator, but I can't draw, and I hate 3D animation. Doing it, I should specify. I get very frustrated trying to do 3D animation because I know in my head, I'm like, this would be so much easier to draw if I just knew how to draw. I don't think that's true, but that's how my thought process is. But then on the other hand of it, it's like, this would be so much easier to film instead of like trying to get a model set up and like animate the model. Like, I could just film it. I think 3D animation is cool, but I hated doing it. To seeing animation's praises, one thing I loved in BoJack Horseman is an episode from a character with dementia's point of view, and it really leans into stuff only animation can do, like people's faces in a scene change or disappear because she doesn't remember them. Yes, I will say you could achieve that in like live action, but it would be with a lot of like CGI and basically like animated stuff, and I don't think it would work as well. The horror of it would come through, but I don't think it would work as well as I'm sure it did in animation. I really should watch BoJack Horseman. I know I would love it, and I know I would have a very unhealthy attachment to, oh, what's the girl? I cannot think of her name. Is it like Sarah? The child actor girl. Not Diane. Diane, I do know Diane. She's cool. Yeah, Sarah Lynn. I feel like I would have an unhealthy attachment to her, and I know how her story ends. I know how her story ends. And I haven't even watched BoJack Horseman yet, and I'm mad about it. Like, not mad that they did that, but I'm mad at BoJack the character. The day I actually get into BoJack Horseman, it's gonna be so over for me. People's faces in a scene change or disappear because she doesn't remember them. Yes. Fuck 3D animation. All my homies hate 3D animation. Was forced to take 3D animation and modeling classes in college. I wasn't forced to take it. I took it because I thought it would be fun. And there were cool things that I learned how to do with it. Because one of the things we talked about towards the end of that class was basically how films use, like, CGI sets with camera movements, essentially, like, using camera tracking in the Blender software. And I think that was really cool. And for my final project, I did some of that. Less so of the camera tracking because I was filming by myself, so I couldn't have the camera move, but the, like, integrating a live action subject with a CGI, like, set and background kind of thing. I didn't do it very well. Because that is not my skill set. Like, the editing was fine, it's just the CGI environment was very much, this is a student's work. But it was fun to do. And it was, like, kind of cool to, like, learn how that works. I'm glad I took the class. I hated doing it, though. BoJack Horseman is about existential despair. It can be rough, but all my favorite things are sad and funny at the same time, so BoJack is perfect for me. Oh, yeah, I feel like I could also say the same thing about a lot of my favorite media. I just know the person I was at the time BoJack was, like, coming out and popular, I don't think I would have handled it well. And so now I'm, like, looking at it with a lot of caution, because every time something from it trends on TikTok, it's always at the worst time. It's like, man, this makes me want to watch BoJack so bad, but I feel like I'm gonna have a mental health crisis if I do at this particular moment. So maybe next time the vibe hits, it'll hit at a better time, and I'll actually watch it. This feels like, that feels like taking art feels, you think you'll be making art, but really they treat you like a photocopier and make you follow themes, so happy not to be in art. I'm sorry you had that experience in art classes. I didn't feel that way about the art classes I had in elementary school. I don't remember them very well, but I enjoyed it because we were using, like, different materials that I didn't get to use at home. But my college art classes, I took a drawing class that was really neat because while we were, like, doing the same things most of the time, it was less so about the art you were creating and about the, like, technical skill that goes into drawing. And that was, like, an approach to drawing I had never considered before. So, like, that was kind of fun. I will say that was fun. Stepsister got me into watching BoJack. I hope you at least liked it. My favorite running gag is there's a sign company that keeps putting the instructions in the sign. Like, have a ball at Diane's 35th birthday. Underline ball. That's so funny. All the information I've retained from my 3D modeling / animation classes was just enough to be able to make rudimentary renders of Sims and Blender. Hey, if that's all you need it for. That's cool, though. I never got good at actually making my own models, but my teacher was also like, hey, there are all of these assets to get pre-made models. This class isn't like making a modeling class, this is how to use Blender as a whole. So we started off learning how to model, and then after we had a few lessons about modeling and assignments about modeling, my teacher was like, alright, so if you don't want to make your models, but we still have to, like, learn how to rig, you can use these pre-made models. And so that's what I did for the rest of that class. Congrats, Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter. Peanut butter is one word. Do not write one word. That's so funny. That does sound good. Yeah, it was cool. Also, I really like the humor, but I've seen it for, like, the first few episodes of BoJack Horseman because a friend of mine in college wanted me to, like, watch it. I will say, I love, like, the opening credits sequence. I think that's so creative and cool. Alright, let's stop postponing our sister having to call Cove. Good, let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mom put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. Felt a little guilty, like you had betrayed your sister. You could still remember the look on Lizzie's face. There was no doubt she felt that way about it. You and your sister didn't always get along, but you cared about each other. This wouldn't change that, you thought. Well, now because it said it like that, I feel like it's gonna change. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed the button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned the speaker on the speaker. That's embarrassing. Do you know about its asexual rep? Yes! I don't remember his name, but I do know about his character. And I think that was actually one of the things my friend told me, because this was around the time that I came out as asexual, like, to other people. And he was like, hey, there's this asexual character in BoJack Horseman. You should watch it. And I was like, okay. Todd? Yeah. Todd was cool. Here's a time indication. It was back when home phones were commonplace. So it definitely does not take place in the 2020s or late 2010s. I don't really know when home phones stopped being commonplace, because I didn't notice it. Because I think before home phones started becoming... I think right as home phones were phasing out, but right before they were no longer commonplace, is when I was reaching the age where all of my friends had cell phones. So it was like we aged out of it, and then suddenly no one had home phones anymore. But it's the kind of home phones that look like this, if that tells you anything about the year this takes place in. Todd helped my friend realize he was ace. I'm so happy for your friend. I'm glad that your friend had that representation to, like, help them realize that. Overlord, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I think they were mostly gone by 2015, but I don't know for certain. That feels about right, because I know in 2013, my family moved to Georgia, and I think they had, like, thought about having the home phone set back up. I don't remember if we actually, like, did set it up at all in Georgia, or if we only had it for, like, a little while and then decided it was dumb. But I don't think we had a home phone, like, actually, like, functioning. Because no one ever used it anymore. I think places still have them, but that thing definitely looks withered even without age. Oh, rest in peace. Are we kissing boys? We will be. I don't know if you know about this game, Overlord, but it starts us off at 8 years old, and then we, like, play through different stages of our life, and we're still in the 8 years old stage. So, no kissing yet, but we did hug, and we had, like, a hand, I cannot think of the word. Like a touch? I don't know. They've had cute moments that are definitely going to be remembered later when we do our childhood besties to lovers. The phone rang a couple times and then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mom, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie leaves? What a surprise. But of course, you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Noelani. Mel and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You're gonna say hello. So it's Game of Life sim. Basically, yeah. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. We're making him worry. Mom was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Kids fight all the time. Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. We ruined his day! He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove? There's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Mel's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? Took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. I'm sure he wasn't saying much. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. Yeah. That's awkward. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. I want gold, and I think Mel should win too. Really? He thought you were worth gold even though you hadn't even wanted it? Lizzie momentarily stunned silent by the demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already. Alright, we all win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. That went a lot better than I thought it would. Not the love interest being a bully. To be fair, Overlord, he's nice to us. He's like awkwardly nice to this other kid that's in the game. I don't know why he and our sister beef. They always beef. But I think their personalities just do not mesh well at all together. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Chloe felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
You can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mel. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even though he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. They gotta be talking about Cove. Honestly, that's the vibe they give off when Cove is like, what do you think our parents are talking about? But maybe they're just vibing with Mr. Holden. Maybe they're just besties. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Cool. I'm gonna save. Okay. I will say, I said earlier we were probably gonna wrap up after we did that, because my mom and sister are visiting, and they got here literally during my starting soon screen, like as soon as I hit go live. So I think I'm gonna end a little early today, if that's okay. And we'll finish this up not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. That is cute, though. I really do like this game. I was a little worried that I may not enjoy playing as children. Because sometimes children in games are not always written in a way that's like fun to play, or just fun to interact with, but these guys are cute, and we're getting like a good like basis for their personality, which is fun. I'm very excited to see how they evolve. What a good game. I'm excited to see the rest of it. Right? Me too. I'm loving this game. I'm also very glad I did not watch you play in Discord, K, so now I like am going in blind. Go have fun with your family. Good night. Yes, yes. Thank you guys for being normal. Let me quit the game. Let's get out of this. Let me pull up. See if there's someone to raid. So you guys can keep these good vibes going. Watch Gargoyles with your nephew. My nephew's gonna be here next week, which is actually why I'm not streaming next week when I get back from dog sitting on Wednesday. So maybe we can. Maybe we can. Have a good rest of your night. Yes, you guys as well. 24-hour stream next time. Overlord, absolutely not. But we will try to stream a little bit longer next time, because it'll be... I don't think I'm streaming at all next week. So we're taking a little bit of a break. Okay. I kind of want to send you to my friend Tommy. They're playing on their 3DS. Okay, they've only been live for 2 hours. This is fine. I didn't realize it was so late when I got the notif that they went live earlier. Unless that wasn't a notif for going live then and just for later that night. I was also late, but have a wonderful night. I'm so glad you were still able to like catch us before we ended Overlord. Bye, Kay. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I hope that we continue to make different choices than you, so you get to see like a new side of the game. All right. I'm gonna send you guys over to Tommy. They are playing Style Savvy on their 3DS. On the they've got like an emulator, so it's not like a camera on a 3DS. Anyway, it's always a good time over there. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will let you guys know in Discord when the next stream is gonna be, because I do not 100% know just yet. I did it wrong. Okay. Having different types of, like, chat commands is so confusing sometimes. Right. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I cannot wait till we see you guys again, and I can't wait to, like, play this game more in a couple of weeks. But you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I hope you enjoy Tommy. Good night!